Wilson, this is your great-grandmother. I'm going to tell you a few things that happened to us during World War II. I was in high school. I was a sophomore in high school. That's the 10th grade. And the war was on. The soldiers were at my hometown, and they were some of them were there and spend the night out in the woods and things. And when they got ready to leave, they would bury their food and stuff in cans that they had left over. So we'd hunt it up and get it and eat it. Well, then we had at Christmas time, if there were any boys there that didn't get to go home for Christmas, Mother would have them to eat with us. We had a Christmas tree that was cedar. That's all you had. You cut it out of your yard, or the big thing was going Christmas cutting. And we did that and put the Christmas tree up, and we used popcorn strings, and we used another kind, I think some kind of dead flower.
Chains, paper chains.
We put the chains up, the paper chains you make with paste. And it was a pretty Christmas tree. We always had icicles. And that was a pretty Christmas tree. On the front door, we had a cedar wreath. That's all you could get, and we had to make those ourselves. So that worked very well indeed. To put a little red in the tree, Mother would use red cellophane. Now, where she got it, I don't know. And it looked pretty. For Christmas dinner, we had a big fat hen because we raised chickens, and there was no money for a turkey. And the fat hens are fatter, and they're really good. So we had that, and we had the dressing and the gravy and the green beans and mashed potatoes, and we'd have a Jell-O salad, and then we'd have every kind of cake you could think of Mother would make, and she would put it in what we called our safe. It had glass doors, and we'd go in there and kind of put our fingers around the icing at the bottom every day, so some of it was not left. Mother would make a big bowl of eggnog, and we drank that with our dessert at dinner and in between. We'd always have neighbors over because Daddy had the only radio, and he'd put it out on the front porch, and neighbors would come and listen, like if President Roosevelt gave a speech, they could hear it. Or the Grand Ole Opry was the big thing. They could hear that. So we had a good time. We didn't know we were poor, and the other people didn't either, but we were all in the same boat. Daddy always had a car. He would not let us learn to drive because we'd ruin the car, he said. And so, Wilson, you won't get a car until you're much older.
Tell him about the stockings. The stockings.
Oh, we hung stockings on the fireplace, and they were brown stockings that we wore during the week on our legs. So Mama would wash them, and she'd hang them. And then we'd have raisins. They're dried raisins on a stem. Just put in your stocking, and hard candy. And we'd have an orange and an apple and some nuts. That's it. And we thought it was great, but until later on, we started getting the packages in it.
When did you get a bicycle?
I got a bicycle when I was a senior in high school. My sister and I got it. My brothers had already gotten one the year before. So we had a good time, the four of us riding our bicycles. Places we shouldn't have, but we did, down by the river. So, of course, we live near the river. We had a garden, and they called them victory gardens, and you shared with your neighbor what you had.
How about your skates?
So,
Skates.
Skates.
Roller skates.
Oh, we all had roller skates. I don't remember when we got them one Christmas. And we'd get in a line, and there were not many cars on the road, and we'd get on the road where there was a hill, and a whole line of us on our skates. Of course, some of us would fall, and some wouldn't, but that's okay. We had a good time.
Did you have electricity?
Yes, when I was a senior in high school, we did. We didn't before that. We didn't have a phone either until I was in high school, because they just didn't have them in that area.
Why don't you tell him about the hogs?
Huh?
The hogs. The hog. And how you made meat.
Oh, my uncle and my daddy would kill a hog, and then they would cut it like they wanted it, the hams and what have you. And my mother and my aunt made the sausage, and they'd put those in a sack. And then my daddy and my uncle would put the hams and things in salt, and that kept it. And they had a little place out in the yard that they kept those things. So we had ham and sausage all year long.
Tell Wilson about the way you did church, that you didn't have it every Sunday.
No, because the preacher was a circuit preacher, and he only came, I believe, 2 Sundays a month. So we'd go then. But, and Mother played the piano, but they just didn't, we couldn't get one. Couldn't anybody get one. All the churches were like that. We didn't have many churches in that town.
Did you ever have snow?
Oh, yes, we had snow, and when it would come on Christmas, we thought that was heaven.
And how did you keep your beds warm? How did you keep warm?
Well, we warm rocks, big rocks, and put in your bed, and Mother put a towel over them to keep our feet warm. And then we'd pile on the blankets and quilts.
Were there things you just couldn't get during the war?
Yes. We had what they call rationing stamps, and it was the sugar and the meal and, let's see, sugar and meal. Gas. Yeast, because we made our bread with yeast. It was hard to get milk. It was hard to get anything. So they gave us rationing stamps, and we'd have to take those stamps with us to get it, and we could just get so much per family. So.
But you had a cow.
Yeah.
So you could do milk and butter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What would you do with Christmas cards if you got a Christmas card?
We hung them by the Christmas tree.
And, there was one other thing. Oh, what were the packages wrapped in that you got for Christmas?
Newspaper.
And what did they do with that red string? You said
you could buy a spool of red string just like you do thread and stuff, except it would be larger. And that's what they tied them with. We didn't know any better.
Now, you like to read, so how did you get your books?
From school library.
There was a library. So, do you remember owning books?
Huh?
Do you remember owning books, having books in your house?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So, what were your? Did you
I
have a
would-
favorite?
Well, we had Little Women. I love that. Um, I can't think of the names of the rest of them, but I always had a book to read.
And did you have Christmas carols?
Yes. We sang Christmas carols at church. Now, we didn't go to people's homes and sing to them like they do today.
Anything else? So, World War II ended.
Hmm.
And where were you when it ended?
I was in nursing school, my last year of nursing school, and when I signed up for nursing school, I had to spend some time in service if the war was still on. But fortunately, the war ended my senior year in high school.
Now, I remember a story that you told me about being a majorette.
I was the drum majorette in high school
And the reason you did
because the drum major had to go to service.
it was a boy, and he had to go to service, so you got to be the drum major.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you work during the high school while you were in high school?
No,
Did you work on the farm?
no, well, no,
No. Okay. Anything else?
no.
All right. Tell him Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Wilson. I'll see you on Christmas Day. Bye-bye. I love you.